evening's online virtual open house. This evening we'll be discussing the Masters of Applied Science and Spatial Analysis for Public Health offered at the Johns Hopkins University Bloomberg School of Public Health. A couple housekeeping items to begin. There is a question box on the side of the screen. Jessica Keane will be monitoring and answering your questions throughout the presentation if possible. If time permits, we will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Now let's get started by meeting our presenters this evening. Dr. Elizabeth Golub is our Director of Online Learning for Applied Learning, Programs. She completed her PhD in epidemiology from Johns Hopkins University and also completed her Master's of Public Health from Columbia University. Dr. Golub's research is focused in HIV among women, more specifically, the effects on women's reproductive health. My name is Jessica Keane. I am one of the admissions officers here that will be able to assist, support, and guide you through the admissions process. Next, we want to go over our agenda today. We will start by discussing the overview of the spatial analysis industry. Next, we will discuss the details of our Masters of Applied Science and Spatial Analysis program, as well as our curriculum. We will go over what to expect from online learning at the School of Public Health. We will highlight the amazing faculty we have teaching the program, within the program, excuse me. We will review the admissions requirements and our upcoming deadlines. Lastly, we will touch on the financial piece, and we will open up for the question and answer session if time permits, and we'll provide follow-up information for some of the questions, or follow-up information for me if you have additional questions after this presentation. At this time, I would like to turn over the presentation to Dr. Golub as she tells us a little bit more about spatial analysis.
Thanks, Jessica, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your interest in our program. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak with you. Our program in spatial analysis goes beyond geographic information systems, or GIS. We cover a set of skills that we collectively refer to as the spatial science paradigm, and this basically includes three facets. First, our spatial data. Where and how are geographic data collected? How can we access those data? And how can we pull them together into an analytic database? The second facet is GIS itself, using technology to map public health data. And then finally, we round it out with spatial statistics. So using statistical techniques to analyze those data, enabling us to use the data and the maps to answer important public health questions. Jessica, thank you. So, of course, spatial analysis is an emerging field within public health, but it is by no means a new one. Perhaps the oldest and most famous example of public health in action is one that utilized spatial analysis. John Snow was a clinician living in London in the mid-19th century, and perhaps many of you have heard of him. In 1854, there was an outbreak of cholera. Dr. Snow took a map of the city and a pencil and walked around plotting the location of every case that was diagnosed. This enabled him to pinpoint the source of the outbreak, the water source on Broad Street, and cut it off by disabling the pump. This finding also led to the discovery that cholera is caused by a waterborne pathogen, a fact that was yet unknown at that time. Today, we have the technology to make far more sophisticated maps. Here you can see maps from a paper published last year by some of our program faculty used to predict the risk of malaria in Zambia. And on the next slide, you can see a map published just a few months ago in the New York Times showing the potential spread of the Zika virus from South America up through Central and into North America. Using maps to display public health threats has become fairly common in recent years, appearing in both the medical literature and the lay media. What the public health workforce really needs is more people with the skills to not only produce these beautiful maps, but with the public health background to know what questions are most relevant and the analytic skills to draw inferences out of the maps. So as I mentioned earlier, this is not a brand new field, but it is a rapidly growing one. So much so that the United States Department of Labor now includes geospatial technology among its high-growth industries, citing an annual market growth rate of almost 35%, which is rather high. Moreover, The Bureau of Labor Statistics notes that the increasing demand for readily available, consistent, accurate, complete, and current geographic information and the widespread availability and use of advanced technologies offer great job opportunities for people with many different talents and educational backgrounds. Now, this refers to geospatial technology in general, not specifically within public health. But to get a sense for the demand for spatial analysis within public health, I would point you to this report, published only very recently in 2015, which describes the results of a survey that was administered to public health leaders at 16 large urban health departments across the United States. The authors noted that public health leaders recognize the urgent need for more timely and more geographically specific data at the neighborhood or census tract level to efficiently and effectively address the most pressing problems in public health. Moreover, I don't have this on a slide, but there was another paper by the same core group published at around the same time and based upon the same parent survey, which identified both GIS skills and quantitative analysis among the top 12 skills needed for a competent public health workforce. So, of course, it's not only here in the U.S., but among our global community of public health workers where these skills are a vital component to do the work that we do. Individual job titles may or may not reflect spatial analysis or GIS per se. Some that do are listed on this slide. However, there are people in other positions who may be called upon to be the ones with this expertise. For example, a health worker or a health officer with these skills may simply be known as the spatial analysis person on their team, whether or not their job title actually reflects that. This is true for many of us. For example, my own job title doesn't reveal the many skills that I have, and perhaps the same is true for some of you in your current positions. Certainly there are folks out there doing spatial analysis whose job titles are quite varied. Regardless of the title, however, the skills to obtain geospatial data, use technology to create maps, and conduct statistical analyses to answer vital public health questions, this is an area in high demand. So this master's degree program was specifically designed for working professionals. It is a 100% online, part-time, skills-based program that can be completed in as little as 2 years. As the oldest, largest, and #1 school of public health, we recognize that adult learners come to us with a variety of learning styles. Therefore, we have taken great care to develop a curriculum that is pedagogically current, using a variety of modern-day instructional strategies such as group learning, peer assessment, and portfolios to design a high-quality program that will prepare its participants to address the world's most pressing threats to public health. The curriculum consists of courses in epidemiology, biostatistics, and spatial analysis, as well as public health seminars and professional development workshops taught over the course of 2 4-term academic years from September through May. 2 courses are offered each academic term, a 4-credit course and a 2-credit course, which you can see on the right side of the table on this slide. The program is flexible in that you can take 1 course or both courses each term. The program culminates in an integrative activity, which you can see at the bottom, which is a final project that provides you with the opportunity to synthesize material covered across the program and apply it to a public health question. The integrative activity can be done over the summer or during the first term of what would be the following or 3rd academic year. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health was a pioneer in online public health learning. We were among the first to put courses online way back in the 1990s and have been steadily growing our online programming ever since. Our Center for Teaching and Learning is comprised of a staff of over 30 instructional designers, audio and video producers, technical writers, web developers, and production managers. Together, they work with faculty to produce high-quality content with a high production value. The courses are paced to provide students the flexibility of an online program with enough structure to keep you engaged and on task throughout each term. Lectures are pre-recorded and assignment schedules are posted at the start of each course. We also have a 24/7 support network in place, so no matter where you are, no matter what time of day or night it may be here in Baltimore, there is someone available to take your call. So while they couldn't all be available for this webinar, here's a brief introduction to our instructional faculty. Dr. Frank Carriero is our resident expert in spatial analysis. He applies spatial statistical methods and geographic information systems to public health. His research focuses on environmental epidemiology, exposure mapping, cluster detection, and models for characterizing spatial variation in disease risk. Dr. John McGreedy is a faculty member here in the Department of Biostatistics. Dr. McGreedy teaches several on-site and online courses and is one of our most beloved instructors here at the school. He has won numerous teaching awards and has dedicated his career to statistical education. Dr. Ian Saldana is in the Department of Epidemiology and teaches the Introduction to Epidemiology course. He also teaches an undergraduate epidemiology course in our Public Health Studies program, which has quickly become our most popular undergraduate major at Johns Hopkins. Dr. Saldana and I have worked together on the 2 EPI courses in this program, as I myself teach the Intermediate Epidemiology course, which I've been teaching in various sections, on-site, blended, and online for almost 10 years. Dr. Fran Stillman is an associate professor in the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society and has been conducting research on tobacco control for over 27 years. She has an extensive publication record, including peer-reviewed articles, monographs, and book chapters, as well as having developed award-winning self-help materials. She developed the first course on tobacco control at the school and developed the Global Tobacco Research Network to promote collaboration among researchers in her field. Dr. Stillman will be leading the Seminars in Public Health course. And last but certainly not least, Tim Shields is also a faculty member in the Department of Epidemiology and teaches 4 on-site courses at the school, as well as the online courses in the Spatial Analysis program. His work focuses on data management and environmental surveillance with respect to modeling of risk and spatial distributions of infectious disease. The teaching faculty in this program have put together not simply a collection of individual courses, but have really worked as a team to design a cohesive curriculum that is at the forefront of this growing and important field. There's a lot of work to be done in this area, and we look forward to counting many of you among our future colleagues.
Thank you so much for all the great information. I'm sure now you are all excited about how to apply and what's next. So our application process is through our SOFIS application portal. We do require a minimum of a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university. SOFIS will require all transcripts from anywhere you earned college credit. We also require 3 letters of recommendation. And also you want to be able to demonstrate your quantitative skill in coursework through your previous experience, as well as able to provide this information through your personal statement that you will be able to include in your application. Lastly, for our international applicants, we do require a test for English as a foreign language, as well as a course-by-course credential evaluation for any degrees completed outside of the United States. There we go. So we do have some deadlines quickly approaching for our fall semester. Our deadline for the fall is July 1st. And the program will begin September 1st. So we do have 1 entry for this program each year, and that will be in the fall. Next, the tuition rate. So currently our tuition rate is $1,055 per credit. However, we are currently offering a scholarship opportunity that could possibly discount tuition to $650 per credit if awarded the scholarship. There's nothing additional that you need to do to be considered for the scholarship opportunity. The admissions committee will review the possible scholarship when your applications are reviewed. Lastly, for the students that are interested in utilizing federal student aid, I have provided our financial aid information on screen here. Please feel free to jot down their information. The program was developed to meet the minimum requirements of the federal student aid as a part-time student. Lastly, we will open the floor for a couple of questions that have come in throughout the presentation. Just bear with us while we can view these in just a moment. Okay, Elizabeth, we do have our first question. One of our attendees would like to know what some of the planned evaluation methods are that students will be experiencing during the courses.
Oh, okay. So we use the term evaluation as sort of an end of course, how did it go? But I suspect that the question is more about assessments for grades. So that's how I'll answer it. And if I'm off base, then please just let me know. So the assessments for each of the courses will vary, much like you can imagine in most programs. We've tried actually not to adhere to a model where every course follows exactly the same format, because the format that, for example, is chosen for the biostatistics course might not really work so well for an epidemiology course, for example. And also the courses are different numbers of credits, so the workload varies. But in general, what we've tried to do is utilize a variety of different types of assessments. So you may experience, for example, an online quiz, or a piece of writing, or sometimes there will be something that you turn in and you get direct feedback on, and other times the assignment will be, not, for example, I'm one of the instructors, so I might tell my students, instead of write something and turn it into me and I'm gonna give you direct feedback on it, first what I'd like you to do is write something and post it to the discussion forum for the course, and then read your peers' writings and provide critical feedback to 2 other people in the course. And so that way we try and engage the peer learning concept, because we are targeting working professionals, adult learners, recognizing that you all are coming to us from a variety of backgrounds, a variety of areas of expertise, geographic diversity, cultural diversity, and we can all learn from each other. So while we have information that we would like to convey to you, you all can be conveying information to each other and, quite frankly, back to us. And we find that this model works really well. Here at the School of Public Health, we have a very international student body in all of our programs. This one particularly because it's completely online, but that's true of all of our programs. And so we've found that this model tends to work fairly well. So you may have some peer assessment, there may be some group work, there may be some individual assignments. Again, we've tried purposefully to incorporate a variety of types of assessment, keeping in mind that people have a variety of different types of learning styles. Our goal is for you to build your skills and get something useful out of the program.
Fantastic. It looks like we have some potential candidates here who are very excited about the application process. So Elizabeth, if you don't want to go ahead and answer this one, we can here on our side. It says, do I have to have all of my application materials in by July 1st?
No, and you probably have more detail about that than I do, Jessica.
Yes, so the application needs to be started by July 1st, but fully complete by the end of July. Perfect. Okay. We have a student with a question, a potential student with a question. Can you please elaborate on the various technologies that will be utilized in the courses, particularly the GIS technologies and statistics and data analysis packages?
So the spatial analysis courses will utilize ArcGIS software and R. R is a package that's freely available. ArcGIS is, generally speaking, not freely available, but the type of license that we have here at the school enables us to provide it free of charge to all students who are enrolled in a degree program here. So there won't be any cost to the participants in this program for either of those pieces of software.
Fantastic.
I will say, though, that ArcGIS is a PC or Windows-based program. So if there are students who have a Mac, you'll just have to configure it with Windows so that you can use the software, and there will be technical support for that.
Great. We do have another question here. About how many hours per week on average do the instructors expect the students to spend on their studies and coursework?
Great question. So the university's credit hour policy says that for every credit, students will be spending 1 hour of what would be considered in-class time or seat time if it were a face-to-face course. So you can think of that as the amount of time that will be doing, for example, listening to the recorded lectures, and then an additional 1 or 2 hours, this is per week per credit, on what would be considered homework or prep for class. So this would be things like assignments, reading, right? So if you imagine the analog of sitting in a brick and mortar building and going and sitting in the classroom, so it would be 1 hour a week per credit of classroom type activities, which again could be lecture or could be hands-on activities, and then another hour or 2 per week of everything that you would do outside of the classroom affiliated with the fact that you're in this course. So homework, assignments, reading, working together with your peers on a group assignment, etc.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have another question here. We have several people that would like to know whether or not they have to have previous experience in public health or GIS in order to apply to this program.
Great question, and the answer is no, neither. So what we're looking for in your application is not necessarily that you have experience in public health or experience in GIS, but that you have an understanding of what public health is, what GIS is, what's the utility of these skills. We want to know what you have done, what you'd like to do, what's your purpose in trying to build this skill set.
Great. Okay, we have another question here as well, Elizabeth, and it is, let's see, is this a new program, and what made Bloomberg School of Public Health decide to offer this program?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, it is a new program, and there were a number of facets that went into the decision to offer this program. I think a lot of it came from, and I know I went through the slides kind of quickly because we wanted to have time for questions with so many people online, but some of it came from the reports that I showed you. So we have faculty experts in this area, and we heard sort of, through industry and through their connections that this is a hot and growing field, and so we thought, well, we could put together a program like this. We know that there are other schools of public health out there that have what you might consider non-traditional programs, right? So not sitting in the classroom and everything is face-to-face. There are online programs. There are executive programs where you go for an intensive 3-day weekend a month, for example. There are a lot of hybrid programs out there that are sort of a combination of those two. You come for that intensive 3-day weekend, but you also do stuff online before and after. Not many programs in spatial analysis for public health. And so what we really, we have an educational mission here at the school, which is to educate a global and diverse community of public health workers. And so what we really wanted to do was, we put our heads together and said, how can we share this information? How can we help folks who are out there in the public health workforce to build their skill set, or, maybe to acquire new skills or to hone rusty skills perhaps, without taking them out of the public health workforce in order to do it. Not everybody wants to quit their job and go back to school full-time for 2 years. So we really made it our mission to offer something that's completely online, completely part-time. I mean, you saw the curriculum, right? We're only offering 6 credits a term, so you can't even do it full-time if you wanted to. It's a strictly part-time, strictly online, strictly affordable program. Why spatial analysis, again, goes back to the reports that I showed you. So almost a year ago now, it was last August, we had a stakeholders meeting where leadership here at the school met with folks from ASTA, which is the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials, as well as the de Beaumont Foundation, which funds public health educational programs. And basically, those are the folks who wrote that report that I showed you, and the one that I spoke about that I didn't have on the slide, unfortunately, showing that the need for geographic data and the need for online programming to learn these skills and the need for statistical analysis were all cited by leadership at public health departments across the country as being of really high value. And so we asked them, do you think that your constituency would be interested in a program like this? And they said, absolutely yes. There are folks out there who are fighting the good fight every day, out there on the front lines of public health, working on Zika, working on Ebola, working on gun violence, working on mental health, working on obesity, all of these issues, autism, you name it, who really could benefit from these skills. So that's why we decided to do it.
Okay, and so we have another question, and part of it I think was already part of your last answer here, but just to clarify, can students participate in this program from overseas?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We specifically have, you know, a global community in mind. So the program is 100% online. You can do the entire master's degree program without ever coming to Baltimore. That's not to say I wouldn't love it if you came and visited me sometime, but you certainly are not required to do so.
Great. Now, some of our questions are getting more into the admission side of things, but I think it would be great for everybody attending tonight to hear this from you as well. We have some questions regarding letters of recommendation and the preferred sources for those. Should they be asking prior academic sources, work? How do you prefer that to look?
That's a great question. So I would recommend that you ask the people who know you the best. So everyone's coming from a different place, and so your applications are going to be quite variable, and we're already seeing that among the applications that we've been reviewing thus far, and that's great. That's not a problem. But my point is there may be someone, for example, who just completed their undergraduate work very recently, or there may be someone else at the other end of the spectrum who finished undergrad 30 years ago and has been out there in the workforce. If something is very, very distant for you, for example, if you've been working for 30 years, don't go hunt down your undergraduate statistics professor and ask them for a letter, because it was 30 years ago. I'm going to assume, based on experience, you're probably not even the same person really that you were 30 years ago. I know I'm not, right? So I would rather, even if you got an A in statistics and it was 30 years ago, I'd rather you get letters from the people that you've been working with over the last 10 or 15 years, because they know you the best. Right? So try maybe a variety of people, one who knew you in a supervisory capacity, one who was a peer perhaps, maybe a student who has worked under you, or someone that you've supervised who could speak to your leadership skills or your quantitative ability, people from work, people from academic programs. It doesn't have to be homogeneous, and there are no rules, because like I said, everyone's application looks different. So if you just finished your undergraduate work, by all means, get your letters of recommendation from your undergraduate professors. If you have a prior graduate or medical degree, someone from that program, sure. I'm not saying don't get it, but again, I would, of the people that you have to choose from, I would be less concerned with, you know, covering all of the bases. So don't feel like you have to have someone in academics. If you have 3 or 4 people who know you in a different capacity, who know you the best and could speak to your skill set and your ability to be successful in this program.
Fantastic. That's a great segue. We have a lot of students that are asking kind of what are the next steps. So we're going to go ahead and advance the presentation now as it is approaching 8:30 Eastern here with some information about next steps, how to get in touch. So here we are.
Perfect. So you should see that my information is provided on screen here. Again, I am one of the admissions officers that would be happy to answer any additional questions that you have. We are also launching a poll currently. You should be able to see that on screen now. If you could provide your feedback based on when you plan to begin this program. Is it this fall? Is it in the future terms, possibly needing more information? So we'd love to get your feedback from this evening. The recording, so we do have a recording of this webinar. It will be sent out, so you'll be able to review this presentation again in the coming days. We'll get that link out to you. But I do want to thank everyone for attending this evening. It was a really great session. Thank you, Dr. Golub, for your time and so much valuable information. Here in the admissions team, we really look forward to working with all of you, and please do not hesitate to contact us.
This was really wonderful. Thanks so much, everyone, for dialing in.
Okay, we're going to go back to removing this poll here as we're getting great feedback, so you can view my information. We'll keep that on screen. Now you should be able to see my contact information. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a great evening.